Hey, good Tuesday morning, everyone. This is Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for Tuesday, August the 29th. Hope all is well with you on this Tuesday morning. I'd like to pray today for all of those that are in the path of the hurricane that is coming down on Florida. This is always a tragic situation where people are injured and lose their lives, and animals are also in peril. I would like to just ask you to say a prayer at some point today that there is more safety than there is tragedy in this situation that takes place a little too often. We seem to be always looking over our shoulders, at something else that is coming down the road, and leaves us in a place where sometimes we live too much in fear. So I think to help that, we need to make good choices in life, and that will be the topic that we will talk about today after we listen to the gospel. We will do that now, and I'll ask you to quiet your minds and hearts as we prepare to hear from St. Mark chapter 6, verses 19 through 29. King Herod feared John, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man, and kept him in custody. When he heard him speak, he was very much perplexed. Yet he liked to listen to him. She had an opportunity one day when Herod, on his birthday, gave a banquet for his courtiers, his military officers, and the leading men of Galilee. Herodias' own daughter came in and performed a dance that delighted Herod and his guests. The king said to the girl, "Ask of me whatever you wish, and I will grant it to you." He even swore many things to her. "I will grant you whatever you ask of me, even to half of my kingdom." She went out and said to her mother, "What shall I ask for?" She replied, "The head of John the Baptist." The girl hurried back to the king's presence and made her request. "I want you to give me at once on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was deeply distressed, but because of his oaths and the guests, he did not wish to break his word to her. So he promptly dispatched an executioner with other orders to bring back his head. He went off and beheaded him in the prison. He brought the head on a platter and gave it to the girl. The girl, in turn, gave it to her mother. When his disciples heard about it, they came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. As I always say, there's always so much to unpack in every gospel. Well, today, and I always say this as well, I'd like us to place ourselves in the position of King Herod. Now, that might be something that you find distasteful. I mean, King Herod did a very distasteful thing, and he had John the Baptist beheaded. Well, let me explain, my friends, because this came down to King Herod making a choice in his life. He made a choice to have this young lady dance for him, and then when she did, he had to give her what she wanted. He took short-term pleasure for a long-term displeasure by making a choice. And I think we can all relate to that somewhat. Now, I think it's also interesting to know that King Herod recognized that there was goodness in John the Baptist. He said he liked to listen to him speak. So we all know, as King Herod knew, what the long-term pleasure is versus the short-term pleasure, which, in all honesty, gives us some harm. We hear a lot about self-compassion now lately in this world, and you know that I am certainly the one who will be bringing forth a lot more information about compassion in the world, and self-compassion is an important thing. But it is somewhat misunderstood. Self-compassion could be easily misunderstood that you take the short-term pleasures in life. Hey, life is short, let's do it this way. And we all know that that third piece of pie or cake is certainly a short-term pleasure, but the aftermath is not. We know that it's probably better to take a walk around the block. We all know that sitting down and binge watching for 5 hours on TV is probably not the best choice. But we also know, and we should act as if, that reading that book that is so helpful for our mind and our heart is a better choice. And then there is the act of forgiveness. We all know that the short-term digging our heels in and saying, hey, I'm going to stay very strong in my opinions here is a short-term pleasure, if you will, like the girl dancing, but the long-term pleasure is to accept and let go. And we all know that gives us a better self-compassionate peace of heart. We all know that the effort that we take every day and what we do is a choice. We all know that these choices mount up and they are plentiful each day. And what I'm here to suggest to you is to take stock in the choices that we're making each day and evaluate them. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think if you go back to the gospel and you place yourself in King Herod's place, there was certainly some reluctance, there was some remorse in his choice that he made. Would he have made it again? Well, we don't know. King Herod's not here to tell us that. But we know for ourselves that we can go back and look at the choices we make each day and see if they are short-term in nature and not towards the betterment of our faith and self-compassion, or are they long-term in nature and those that do help us and help us with self-compassion and our future. Most importantly, what I'd like you to do is not dwell on the not so good ones. I'd like you to dwell on the good ones. I'd like you to go back in your day and say, hey, what would I do correct? What did I do that I made a positive choice for long-term self-compassion? And celebrate yourself for it, because I think there's a lot to be said for positive reinforcement. Well, my friends, that's my message for you on this Tuesday morning. I hope it was helpful. I always welcome your comments and your thoughts, your questions even. We're going to take a moment or two to quietly reflect on what we heard today, and then I will end with a prayer. Most loving God, we thank you for all of the good gifts you bestow upon us. We thank you for the gift of making choices, and we celebrate the choices that we make that are in our long-term best interest as well as those around us. We ask you to continually bless us with the gift of compassion for others, knowing that this will help us tremendously in making good choices in our life. We also ask you to watch over the people that will be in the path of this Hurricane Idalia that is coming forth towards Florida. Keep them safe, all of your children, including your four-legged ones that you care for so much. Well, my friends, I wish you all a wonderful Tuesday, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everyone.